Well, I'm here with Tommy McClure of the Drunken Cryptids podcast. Tommy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thanks for dropping by. I know you got all these bone scans and all kinds of crazy medical things going on. So,
Oh yeah, I got hurt back in November, and it seems like there's so many tests and everything going on. It's crazy.
yeah.
Got another surgery coming up here in a few weeks, and recovery time on that's going to be a little longer than what this one was.
Well, that's what I really try to do, treat my body as well as I possibly can. It's like I like to be active, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to need these knees and someday, later on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I see these videos of when I used to work out, and it's like even if I did get motivated, I can't do nothing right now. It's like I can't use my left arm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, let's talk about Drunken Cryptids in your podcast. Uh, interesting concepts, and I guess I've always been aware of, and I think a lot of people are the same way. Like we've all heard of Bigfoot and aliens and the myths and the different creatures that might be around certain towns and things. But it didn't really know that they were called cryptids, or like what are the mythology of all the cryptids. And then I want to talk about your show itself, and so why create a podcast where you're talking about cryptids for one, and then we'll get to the adjective that's attached to it.
Well, the cool part is about that is my buddy Matthew, the host. It's his show. Him and his buddy Maddie passed away a little while back, and it was them two basically that got their heads together and created the show. And rest in peace, Mr. Maddie. But when he passed away, Matthew stopped there for a little bit. But then he's always been into this stuff. I mean, you got no use using Google. I mean, if Matthew's there, he'll tell you everything. It's so cool. He takes over a conversation no matter where you're at. But it was him and Maddie's, and then when he brought it back in, he asked if I was interested in helping him because I had spoke with him earlier and did an episode for him and told him that if he ever needed help, let me know, because I was in radio business for years. I used to do commercials, and I was a night DJ and a traveling DJ for about 6 years back in Kentucky for a radio station for 105.7 and 107.3. So I've always liked radio business. I've got the face for it. But yeah, as soon as he said he was starting to back up, and he asked me if I was still interested in it, and I was like, yeah. So he brought me on board, and man, ever since then, it seems like we just expanded overnight. It was crazy. I didn't realize how big of a community it had, because we've all had experiences that we can't explain, so I like it. I like the way we got it, because even if you don't know what you saw, you call us, we'll help you figure it out, and we don't blow smoke. I mean, if it's not what it is, we're not going to just automatically say, hey, it's that. No. We use all this other stuff. If we can't explain it naturally, then okay, you might see what you saw. You might have saw that. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's a huge community around, cryptids and based around, the people love that stuff. My brother is one of them, there's several of them who loves the Boggy Creek, in South Arkansas. And so I think Arkansas is kind of rife with all these different cryptids that, I believe them. There's Dover lights and those types of things too. So a lot of strange happenings here in this state alone, but then, expanded out towards the world. Everybody's got their own sort of weird and strange thing going on, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's just like I said, it's hard to believe how many people will call us and email us, and there's other podcasts that we help, that we work with now. We've made a lot of friends in it. I mean, our friends from Unknown, Cryptids of the Corn, was it Monster Myths and Mullet, Mr. John there, man. All those guys, we all bounce back and forth. So, I mean, like you might see someone on their show and they'd be on hers, or you'll see hers and they'd be on them. I mean, because some of these guys, men and women, they like to get their story out. And we also got it to where if they don't want to tell their names or anything like that, we'll change their names. I mean, Arkansas Bigfoot Cartel is actually sponsoring a town hall meeting here February 8th, 7th through 9th, actually. So, a lot of us is going to be there. Matthew's going to be there. Arkansas Cartel's going to be there. And then a really good guy that everybody will know if they're in the Bigfoot is Mr. Todd Neese. So he's definitely going to be there. And he's really fun to talk to because he's got a lot of knowledge as well.
Oh, well, that's not the Paranormal Expo, but that's...
No, Paranormal Expo, we'll be going to that again this year.
Okay.
But it's in October, I believe.
Yeah. So this is a town hall for, you said two days?
Yeah, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Oh, so 3 days. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be at Paradise Pizza over at Ozark.
Okay.
It's pretty fun. I got pictures of one of the last ones they did. It looked pretty sweet. Jason Kinsey was with us last time they did one, so he's a really good guy too.
That's incredible.
He has a show on Tubi called Searching for Sasquatch. Okay. So he's fun to catch up with.
I remember when several of those shows were coming out on, like, I think it was at TLC or the History Channel or something like that. They were putting together like teams of people that were going out there and trying to track down Bigfoot and stuff. And they were like chronologically, following them on their trail.
Yeah, and the funny part on some of that, I watched some of them, and you can just tell it's some people's excuse just to get out there and get drunk.
Oh, yeah.
I watched this one show. They're supposed to be trapping Sasquatch, but that's all they did in the woods was just sit there and drink. And I mean, they was not an episode at all. Was they looking for anything?
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of like Ghost Hunters. You know what I mean? Back in the day, I used to love, Transatlantic, Paranormal Society, I think is what it was called. And they had their own magazine and stuff back in the early 2000s. And following those along, and they would just go to like a random hotel that somebody heard a bump, and they were like, "This hotel is haunted." They're like, "Let's go check it out." And you can tell, like, sometimes they were just dragging it out and like making things into something that wasn't really there. You know what I mean? The camera wire from one, would fall off the wall all of a sudden. It's like, oh, you just didn't stick it up there, Rig.
That's funny you said that because Matthew actually called one out for that not too long ago on one of his shows. It was with, I think it was Ghost Hunters, I believe. He called one of the guys out on that because I guess, like he got touched or something, and he could just be like,
Yeah. And how are we as the viewer going to know, if you actually felt anything or not, And some of the, I don't know, it's crazy. I'll go through TikTok once in a while and find these people that go out to, like, have like the spirit boxes. Is that what they're called? And they go out to the cemeteries and they try to, through wavelengths of radio, whatever, try to pick up little pieces of and supposedly the spirit speaking to them, and they'll be like, have a conversation, leave or, marry.
Some of those, it's so funny because the way they do it on there, you can hear it clearly. And, and it's like, EVPs don't sound like that, if you actually have ever occurred to get one,
Right.
And so that does crack me up on some of that. And now they do this with the box, and they blindfold themselves and put headphones on or something. And I guess it's supposed to pick it up and it drowns out everybody else.
Yeah.
And you speak out whatever you hear on that, and it's just, I'm not experimenting with that yet, but that's,
Yeah. That's pretty well. So what are some of the stories that you've had or heard on the podcast itself that have sort of stood out for you?
Oh man, well, we had one recently. We had a couple recently. One event actually happened to a buddy of ours over in Indiana. He witnessed what we think might have been the rake, literally on the road. It actually put some claw marks down the side of his car. And then we had a gentleman call in about a berry patch, where he basically was reaching in at the same time as the big guy, and he broke up. I mean, you could tell it was pretty regularly broke up in the show. You know what I mean? So that stuck out for me.
Oh wow! So the rake was, if I remember from like the creepypasta stuff, is like it's got claws and it walks on all fours, but it's like humanoid.
Yeah, it's like a humanoid figure. It's funny because my boy that just had a birthday, he could tell you all these things too. He calls them out by their numbers, which I'm like, I don't know how you remember that. But yeah, and one of the pictures that is actually on our YouTube, it has a picture of what he saw. And in the road, you see it. You just basically see the upper torso with the longer arms, and it's like this straight whitish gray looking figure, and just it's really creepy looking. But yeah, I mean, when he was explaining it, I mean, that's really the only thing that you could think of what it was. It was crazy. Wow. So that's what we like too, because if you don't know what you saw, you call us. We'll help you figure it out.
Right. So is it that the relationship, I guess, of everybody sort of seeing things that you really can't explain? Is that what drew you into cryptids?
Sorta. When I was younger, we've had some weird experiences. I'm from Kentucky.
Okay.
And like talks about the land between the lakes over there, and I've had some. I mean, I can tell you, there've been some stuff happen over there. My grandma used to tell stories, and it just got passed down, and we used to travel a lot, and so we would just witness and experience stuff, and sometimes we wouldn't know what we was witnessing until the next day, and then that's what got me into it. So when he gave me this opportunity just to come on board, I'm like, heck yeah, come on board, man, this is great. Something I've always wanted to do,
Yeah.
When I had my restaurants back in Kentucky, anytime me and my cousin would stay at a different hotel, because we would have to go to other franchises and train them. We would literally look up any kind of huntings or any kind of little myths about that town and literally go out and look for it while we were there staying that week or so.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty cool. But yeah, after having a few experiences myself, some I can't explain. So
Yeah. You guys won the ArtCast Award, I think, Best Documentary, right, category.
yes, sir.
Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
That's actually the day I broke my arm.
You broke your arm on the day that you won the award.
We the next day is when they came up there. Broke my arm the day before.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah. I just didn't want to travel. So
Sure, yeah. There are other things you could have said. Not feeling well, you know what I mean? I'm just going to snap my arm a little bit. Yeah, so congratulations on that. And I guess with you guys sticking with, podcasting, and of course the field of podcasting is always changing, and it's sort of what we talk about a lot on this podcast, particularly in our YouTube channel, is about all the different changes that are constantly happening in the field, and how you have to sort of grow with the industry in the way that's heading. When video came all around, that was a few years ago, you know what I mean, when everybody was like, oh, we're audio only. Making the switch was like, pulling teeth from some people. Some people still adhere to the audio only, but they're suffering because of it. But Spotify, the way that it has gone, and even I just recently found out that Apple Podcast, you can put video on there, but nobody's using it for that yet.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, nobody's using it, so don't waste your time. Don't waste your time yet. That's my recommendation. But with YouTube, and of course, the taking in, we go into schools all the time, right? And we talk about, we get invited to like STEM classes to talk about podcasting and teach the kids there about how to do it, and show them equipment and stuff. But I always sort of get a view of like where are we at with Gen Z, and it's like, okay, well, how many of you kids listen to a podcast currently? Then you'll have, like, I have a class of 15, you may have 2 or 3 people raise their hands, and they invited us here. So they want to learn about podcasting, okay? But they don't listen to any. And I said, well, how many of you watch clips of podcasts on TikTok or the shorts on YouTube? Everybody. Okay. So that's how they're consuming podcasts. Those little meaty bits that we're chopping off of an actual episode of a podcast and putting them online. So how are you guys handling that?
We're transitioning. We started, because we were letting a platform do it, but they wasn't really doing much. They was just putting a picture of us on there, and then you'd hear the audio.
Yeah.
So I started going in, we took back over on that, and I actually got a video up there now. So it's still the podcast, but we do a little intro, outro, and that way it makes it a little bit more interesting in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the shorts, I know what you mean. Yeah, we had to crop those up and put them in there. I'm trying to do that a little more. Apparently YouTube started this year that it tells you that you have to do so many of this, so many of that. Yeah, it gives you like little guidelines you got to follow in there before you can actually do certain stuff, I guess. And one of them is 33 shorts in a certain amount of time, and I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. So which way Matthew does his little TikToks, I was like, you know what, I can use those.
Oh yeah, for sure. Use it all.
So there we go.
I consider it's like, Native Americans use the buffalo, right? That's what your podcast episode is. You record it, video and audio at the same time, and then you're able to use that for all kinds of different things. Yeah, like we're using this as a YouTube video for a shorter video, but we'll also chop this up into clips. But we'll also add this full interview onto a full podcast episode. You know what I mean? And sort of just get our full run of it.
I love it because there's even episodes like right now, like we did a promo spot for Arkansas Cartel for the February event, and I just took one of the intros that we'd already had and just cropped it up and actually used that part for that. So I mean, it's fun because I get called a lot too to do these little promos for other podcasts, and that's just something I love doing. So I'm like, hey, I do it, I got you.
Yeah, for sure. Something I really want to talk to you about while you're here is there are a lot of live events that we've seen pop up. When we started the ArtCast, right, in 2022, I was looking for something I could use as a fundraiser for the different organizations that I was being associated with. And so that's what started us with the first Arkansas Podcast Festival. For the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. I was raising money for them. And I was like, well, what's an event that I could bring to Arkansas that we'd have never had before? And I was looking up because there's a podcast event that happens in Austin, Texas every year called RTX. And I sort of was, if people are listening to this, they've heard this story a billion times. But so podcast festival, that was on my mind. I looked up about what other podcast events have been in Arkansas. None. ever. No podcast events had ever been here before 2022. And that was insane to me when all these states around us sort of were doing that, you know what I mean? And so we started the first with the Arkansas, the podcast festival. Second year, we just went ham with all the workshops and stuff that we were doing across the state with all the different organizations and libraries and ARCAS, bringing it to Fayetteville. And then last year we did the same thing, and the ARCAS Awards expanded into that. So it's grown and grown and grown and grown. So as we're doing more live events, I've noticed that more live events for podcasts have been popping up on Eventbrite and things like that, or just like Facebook. It's like you guys, and then Unexplained Arkansas has their live show coming up in Searcy. And then there's several other things that are just happening, across the state now. And it's good to see those seeds that we planted, like they're coming to fruition, you know what I mean? And more of these types of events are taking place here in Arkansas, and people are encouraged to start them. So I definitely want to talk about because each one of our events alone, like each workshop, if you go to one and then go to another one the next day, it looks completely different. Because we adjust, we learn, we adjust, and we go and we read the room and see who our audience is. What are we talking about? How do we want to present? And so even when we do our Halloween live show, that's completely different than our cast or our the award show. And so I imagine for you guys, it's the same. So I'm really interested in hearing how you guys do your live events. What is it like to have a live event centered around your podcast?
It's pretty great. We do the meet and greet. So honestly, I'm surprised on how many people actually came out. We've got a few that has come out repeatedly, and it's like, wow, they really follow us. It's pretty cool. But yeah, like you said, it's always different because it's always a different setup depending on where we are. We do have another live show coming at Old Bart's in April. We're going to be collaborating with another podcast. They're coming here from Indiana. So that's going to be a really good live show. And then we've got a few more coming up. We just ain't set the dates for them yet. We've got a couple of places that actually reached out to us, wanting us to come there. Yeah. Just like the last one did when we had, was at a place called Censored Monkey. Mm-hmm. And so, Drunken Cryptids was at Drunken Monkey, it's basically. So, yeah. That was actually a pretty good little turnout, we had, and then on top of the people that came out towards the end of it, it's like everybody just stopped what they was doing, and we just had like a whole big round table discussion. Everybody was over there with us, and the event was from 7 to 10, but I'm pretty sure we didn't get out of there until 1.
Yeah. So what are these events like? Is everyone just sort of standing or walking around talking to each other and like comparing notes type of thing, having a drink? Or are there speakers? And you said you ended up in a round table of that one. What are you guys talking about?
People's encounters, stories. Yeah. A lot of it, they have a chance to tell us their story, and we can record it and put it on as a podcast, or if they just want to talk to us about it and they don't want to be recorded. Yeah. One of us will take them. A lot of times it's Matthew, of course, because like I said, he's our Google. So they'll go down because they just feel comfortable talking to him. So he'll go down there and they'll tell him his story, stuff like that. And just like when it came to the round table, he led the discussion. Mm-hmm. They said this, they said that, and then his input was put in, and then as for on, it was just him telling us stuff. It turned out that's usually how it goes. Everybody just wants to tell us their stories or let us try to figure out what they've seen if they don't know.
That's awesome. So they sort of present like, here's my story. And then if they have any sort of photos or anything that they took or sounds, recordings, whatever like that, you guys just sort of listen to it. But you don't diagnose like, okay, it's definitely this thing. Or do you say it could be these several different ththings?
Yeah, it's just like when you watch those videos on like YouTube or TikTok, you're like, oh, look at that orb. No, that's just step flare on the lens, type. Yeah. Because that's one of the things about, we don't even accept pictures of orbs because they're just.
Oh my God. Crescent Hotel, there's like Facebook groups and things like that. If you go in there, everybody thinks every little dust mite or something that they find there is a ghost.
Yeah. I saw orb. No.
Yeah. That's what I liked about those old ghost hunter shows. So it's just like everybody was just like you're already primed to believe in whatever supernatural thing is going to be happening anyway. So like the first time anything happens, you're just like, oh my gosh, I know what that was. And if 2 things happen back to back, oh yeah, it's for sure a ghost or something. Yeah. It's incredible. Speaking of Old Bart's, you were talking about you have an event coming up there. You guys have a burger named after you.
Yeah.
How did you achieve that?
That will be something you have to ask Mr. Matthew there. He does a lot of events with those folks. They we go down there. He has a what's this? I think it's Steelers. They do a Steelers thing down there too, a football.
Yeah.
So he's been doing a lot with them. And then after the meet and greet and everything down there, they just happened to put a burger on there for us, and it's a really nice burger. I mean, if you ever go to Old Bart, you definitely got to try it. That's one of my favorites. Plus the hot mess is one of my favorites. Man, I'm getting hungry thinking about it. Yeah.
Just to go down the menu. Yeah, hot mess. And
Yeah, look on Facebook. Look that burger up.
they've got when I went in there for the ribbon cutting, they had at the time, it was like a rabbit and rattlesnake combo. It was like some wild game sausage, I think it was, that they had there.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And that was good. But okay, so your burger's not made out of cryptid meat though.
Well, no, let's say.
It's like a split. Describe cryptid.
So we found a Bigfoot, and like we
He had a lot of meat on him.
very lean,
Muscles, yeah, muscly.
not on the hair or something.
No, that's awesome. That's incredible to have start seeing the impact in Arkansas, which is what our whole organization is about, is trying to raise up the people who are already creating the awesome things in podcasting. The barrier to entry has never been lower for that. And, before, you were kind of reliant on, or us as a society, we were reliant on, back in the 70s, the news on broadcast television. Those are the ones that were like spreading whatever was going on in the world at the time. In a way, they sort of represented all of us as humanity, you know what I mean? Like our communities and stuff. And so what we have today is like, we can use our individual voice. There's like basically no cost to be able to share your story, your view, and your viewpoint. I mean, what you guys are doing, I mean, you wouldn't have ever seen that on the news back in the 70s unless Bigfoot walked out on Broadway, and
They would still say that. That ain't what
man
happened.
and costume. Yeah,
Exactly.
I remember you remember the alien autopsy that was on the news?
And then there was one also they were supposed to have done an interview with.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to have been from the future. So what was it in the interview? It said that's what we could become after some kind of nuclear war or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, dang.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
I'm already bald, but I don't.
That's wild. So I do want to get your take on these, I guess, the drones that have popped up everywhere all over the United States. Alien or man?
Well, and that's the thing. I think because there was some that even said came out of the Atlantic Ocean is what one of the rumors I heard. But I don't know. I think with everything going on, especially with the whole TikTok ban, I think that was just man. I think they're man-made, yeah. Because I remember I read somewhere that they even spotted some over here in Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, I don't think that's what they want us to think it is.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I mean, it would be nice because I know they declassified some stuff already and told us, there's something out there, but
Yeah.
they still ain't told us the whole 100% yet. So who knows? What we think are UFOs or UAPs probably are just man drones. I mean, might not be nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
out of all the cryptids, we're told about them and they have a mythology behind them, but we kind of have a view of cryptids of being something completely different and alien and foreign, right? And something that we are just like, we're not compatible, I guess you'd say. We're not compatible with these other creatures, and so we try to find them, hunt them, study them, or we happen to see them because they're hunting us, right?
exactly.
Are there any cryptids that you see that we could possibly live, I guess in peace with?
Coexist with?
Yes, coexist.
I mean, from rumors and some conspiracies that we, I mean, we're already coexisting with the reptile folks, and then the Greys, and there's another set out there. I can't remember what they're called, but they look just like humans. They're just prettier, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. But yeah, I mean, honestly, one day, since we're doing stuff like this, I would not put it past if they just did come out and say, hey, yeah, they lived here for years, because some of us think that we might have been that asteroid that took the dinosaurs out, that we were the aliens that came here and someone else was here before we came. And they're just trying to leave us alone.
Oh, wow. Like our ancestors were the ones that wiped out the dinosaurs, and then we made a society, settlement on top of this planet that was just floating in space.
Especially with some of the stuff they find from Mars. I mean, I read one where that Mars was us, and we had to leave that planet because we were dying out.
Wouldn't that be ironic? Because after yesterday's announcement of we're gonna be the first. We'll send the first Americans are gonna be the first ones to go to Mars and plant a
Back
flag.
to where we already
Right?
came from. We don't,
Yeah, that would be hilarious if we went back to settle our own home that we came from in the first place. We find like the remnants of our society that we left behind.
and that's the lucky part of it. Like, oh crap.
Yeah. Oh, we've already been here. God, we're going in circles, guys. We're going. I've seen this tree before.
Right, let's tell the other planet. Gosh.
That's awesome. Where do you see this guy, or your podcast itself, the show? Where do you see it going in the next few years?
Well, wow. We've actually we're doing a lot more expeditions. We've actually got one that we've been continuing on that we started last year here in Arkansas. So like you said, there's a lot of places here in Arkansas that you can go. I mean, we found some really good stuff. And then once we finish up, we're gonna do a video of that and put it on YouTube so everybody can see what we found. And we have a Patreon, and we put a lot of exclusive stuff on that for our Patriots. So that's got some good detailed stuff. I mean, that we will post on that as we go. So it's like they don't have to wait until we're done. Like they're going to see it as we get it. So we're doing that. We're doing a lot more expeditions. Matthew actually got a role in a movie, local movie. So that's going to be interesting. And then also him, Todd and East, they're going to Alaska this year. So he's going to be out of pocket for about 3 weeks. They're going over there for the town that, the rumored that some beast had ran these folks out of this town, and it's been a ghost town ever since.
What?
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
How long has it been a ghost town?
Gosh, one of the stories I read was 1970, 1978. It's been a long while. Been 2 or 3 other people that's tried to settle in there, but
Yeah.
things been ran off.
I've always been fascinated with ghost towns, and there's quite a few even here in Arkansas. That used to
like
be
2000 or something here in Arkansas.
There's a lot of them here, and then like Centralia, Pennsylvania, which is what Silent Hill was based on. The town that had a mine underneath it, and it caught on fire, the coal mine.
Them ashes are still like they still.
Still,
Yeah. That's, man. When I read about that, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go there or not, because if I do see those folks, I don't think I want to. I'll stay away from that one.
For sure. Well, that's amazing. It reminds me of the latest the True Detective season where they were in Alaska. Did you see that at all?
Oh, not that one, but I did watch. I think it was Gates, something Expedition X.
Okay.
They do a lot of stuff like that. I think I watched an episode with them doing.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it kind of involved a lot of the strange mythology and around Alaska.
That's
sort of
their shows too. They sort of like our podcast. We'll go into the history of it and get you a better understanding, which is really good.
Yeah, for sure. It's only gonna make an episode while they're up there in Alaska, or
I think so. Yeah, they have a film crew and everything with them.
Wow.
Again, especially if you've ever heard of Todd Neese, he's over a actual primate organization study right now. He does. He's been a researcher of Bigfoot for a long time. He's been on some shows like Unsolved Mysteries and stuff like that.
Okay.
Mystery Channel.
Wow, nice, very cool. What are some of the? Do you know of any that you've been able to debunk?
I mean, we've debunked some. There's been a couple of pictures that we saw people saying that a couple of the handprints you could tell was just someone with gloves on. And it's like, come on now, don't just post that and say that's what that is.
With like animal print gloves, or just
say we don't know what that is. I was like, it's obviously a hand with gloves.
Yeah.
And then the same thing, you can tell when some people's got their feet on there and they're just dragging it, trying to make it bigger.
Oh yeah.
Just some of the obvious stuff like that. Now, there's some of them that takes a little longer, but yeah, when we go through everything, we can debunk it, and we're like, okay, you might have seen or found something, like that one, like the expedition we're still doing. I mean, we've got cameras up and everything, and we're still trying to find stuff there. I mean, we've seen some stuff so far, some really neat stuff. So we definitely can't wait to get it out to people so they can see it. But the location does have to remain unknown because it's private property in a way. So we can edit that out.
Of course we can. Yeah. We've got one of those, editing machine. That's awesome. And so like this community that you're building of these sort of, I guess around cryptid, but also it brings in a lot of different types of people, right? Because there's like all kinds of subdivisions of people that are into like the unexplained, and whether it be, ghosts or spirits, or, something mystical, mysticism, or even like tarot reading, stuff like that.
I mean, we've had all those on the show too, cryptids, paranormal, myths, all that. I mean, we had one come on, actually dropped it Monday, about fairies, little people and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, there's some of these folks, they don't want to say their names, so we'll
Yeah.
change it because some folks that call us are still where they saw this at, and so that
Wow.
will be, mentioned. So
Very cool. Have you seen The Watchers yet? I know I keep bringing up movies and TV shows.
I had to watch it because Matthew made me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, this movie. I do like it.
I enjoyed that too. Yeah, for sure. The twist. I was like, that's good.
And then I watched that new one, Werewolves.
Yeah, I did too.
Did you? What
Yep.
you think about that?
I loved it. I thought it was like an extension of, this is like kind of nerdy, but remember Dog Soldiers back in the early 2000s? So it was kind of like a spiritual sequel to that to
I
me.
think that's the reason I wanted to watch it because
Yeah.
of the Dog Soldiers thing. Because that's still a whole story about how werewolves got created. So
Yes.
super soldiers,
Uh-huh. Yeah, for sure.
And Beast on Bray Road.
Beast on Bray Road. Nope.
Seen that?
Nope.
Beast
I'm
on
gonna have to
Bray
check it
Road?
out though.
Oh my god, that's based on true events. Yeah, you gotta watch it. I'm not gonna tell you, but yeah, you just gotta watch it. I think it might be on Tubi or something. I know it's hard to find, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't tie it up at the end. It does leave you wondering. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely watch it. Let me know what you think about that.
I definitely will. Yeah. My family, we went and saw the new Wolfman on Sunday. I liked it. It's not so like it's about an hour and a half of transformation. So like usually in werewolf movies, like you'll get those transformations. That's what people go to for the film. You know what I mean? Like those are the big spikes
Yeah.
of excitement and stuff. It happens very, very, very slowly. But I thought that it was done really, really well by the filmmakers and the way that they filmed it. And so as someone who uses cameras and it's like always trying to teach myself how to use cameras better and how to capture better sound and use lighting and stuff like that. Like to me, it was fascinating to watch how they played with that to like, if he was started to like go into like the more wolf side that was like sort of forming in him, how he would be having a conversation with his wife. And then all of a sudden, like, you can't understand what she's saying. Like it's so gradual that like it's clear English and to the point where it's like, that she's making sounds and those are English words, but you can't tell what it is. I thought they played with that really well. Yeah. It's really interesting.
Can't wait to watch it. I mean, it's the same way with audio and stuff. I mean, I'm always trying to find other stuff, learn it. So I mean, it changes. I mean, there's so much software out there and everything.
Right.
I mean, it just gets better and better if you think about it.
Yeah.
So I have to watch that now. That's on my list.
No, it's great. I enjoy it. And I'm a big fan of the classic Universal, monsters. I've always loved them.
Was it Monster Squad? Remember that show?
Yes, I'm a Monster Squad, of course. Yes. Yes.
I think my kids watching that as sort of a funny and scary movie if you think about it.
Yeah.
They did. The Wolfman's costume was pretty funny.
I haven't seen it in long. Just caveat. I haven't seen that in like probably 20 years. And so like the picture I have in my mind, just like most movies I saw like 20 or 30 years ago. And if I looked at them now again, they're probably pretty comical and funny.
And that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to watch all these movies that I've watched then and just to see either how bad the acting is, how bad the stuff like I watched The Guyver the other day, and that was one of my favorite movies.
Like the OG MacGyver?
Yeah,
Okay, wow.
So I was watching that and I was like, oh my God, acting in is this horrible?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's still a good movie.
You watched $1 Million Man and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. No, I used to love that. I remember, I just still remember the shirt that one of the kids had, Stephen King Rocks. It was on his shirt.
I saw that shirt not too long ago, actually. Somebody was wearing it.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They even had an Al Bundy shirt.
Oh my gosh. Well, see all this stuff, all the retro stuff. Well, no, it's retro now, and it's trendy to wear the retro.
When they said payphone vintage, I was like,
Payphone. Yeah, Payphone's been out for a while. Tommy, I don't know where you've been, but like it's been gone for a while.
I've been under a rock, man. Yes. I used to use payphones all the time.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, you have any other shows that you're working on besides the Drunken Cryptids?
Well, actually, yeah. The funny part is, so Drunken Cryptids is their main show, of course, and then my kids has got one. They do a game on YouTube, so we started that back up.
Awesome. Okay.
All done with kids. I mean, Bubby, Sissy does the whole thing. 8, 11-year-old. Sometimes there are 2-year-olds in there. Yeah. 2-year-old little sister. But started that back up. We had tried to do that a few years ago, and we had stopped, but we're doing that again. So they just do little video game walkthroughs and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty fun.
What do they play?
They're anywhere from Fortnite, Roblox, Rec Room. I mean, you name it. Learning the feet. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Call of Duty. So my kids' other dad, which is their bonus dad, but the other dad, we're all friends, and he got them into some of the games. So the cool part is like he'll be playing in the living room, so I'll be playing in the bedroom, and they were playing the same game online, against each other. So I think that's pretty cool. So anything that he doesn't know game wise, revert back to him, because if he don't know it, then I'm like, I don't know. I can't about Mario. I don't know about this. You know,
Yeah.
I said play Mario all day, but
Right.
things they play, I was like, I don't even know where to start.
No, that's awesome. And there's for sure an audience for that too. There's, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, he on one of his videos now he had 1.1K.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, dang, okay. It
Good.
was a short. That was
It's a good start. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've actually got one coming out I'm working on. I've not really came up with a name of it yet, but I do have another YouTube channel coming out. So that's going to be interesting. Can't wait to get that started, see what people think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any hints what the content's gonna be about?
Well, it still could be something with paranormal, but it's also going to be a lot of rants.
Okay.
You know, a lot of complaints.
All right. A lot of complaints.
Yeah, all the complaints.
Okay. About the community or is just what people? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
It's gonna be a little bit of mixture.
Drunken rant cryptid. If we incorporate some sort of name in there, yeah. So
Might need your help on
keep it on brand. Yeah. Yeah.
that.
That's awesome. Well, tell me before we end this, is there anything else you want to cover that we haven't talked about?
I think we talked about it, man. We talked about the town hall meeting on February 8th. We got a live show coming April, and then I gave a shout out to all my buddies. That's really all I got right now, man. We got some more events working. We just don't know dates for them yet, and I don't want to mention them yet if we don't know the dates, because it could be after the Alaska trip. So I don't want to, locations change often. Sometimes we'll say we're going to be there mentally, but then something happened and we have to postpone it. So I always like saying it if we know it's a for sure thing first, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, if there's anybody out there that's got something they want to talk about, feel free to message us on Facebook, email us. We're on all your platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Audible. You can listen to us on there now. The email is drunkencryptids@gmail.com, or you can go to drunkencryptids.com. Hit us up anywhere you like.
Okay, awesome. We'll definitely show up to as many of your events as we possibly can.
Oh,
Yeah.
we do, man.
Yeah.
We also have merchandise every time we come out there. Like
Oh, good.
Shirts, all that good stuff. It goes to help the show, really.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're doing, trying to be a part of other people's events more this year. That's one of the goals, is instead of trying to put all the pressure on us to make the events happen and everything. We've got several things on our own, but like this Saturday going to the Arkansas Creators events. I don't know if you saw or heard anything about that. Yeah,
I saw that. I was actually going to come to that, but we've got actually a wrestling event going on Saturday.
Nice. Okay.
It's going to be hosted by our friend at Patrick and the People.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got it going on this week.
That's great. Patrick reached out to whenever he left. I wanted to say Q100. That was a long time ago. Whenever he left the Edge, after Corey, had left, and anyways, Patrick reached out and he was like, "Oh, how do I get my podcast started?" And so I worked with him and gave him a breakdown of how to distribute his podcast. He wanted to do a live show that he could record, just the same format, like he was doing on the radio. Record for 3 or 4 hours, and then send those out as a podcast, in the feed as an RSS feed and stuff. And I was just telling him how the RSS feed and all that stuff works, and he was like, "All right, I got it, thanks." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, I guess he doesn't need help setting his stuff up. And then like a few weeks later, I think you sent me a video, or somebody sent me a video for Patrick and the People. And I saw he had this full studio set up, and I was like, okay, I guess he just took it to heart and went off and took it and did it on his own.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't
nice.
Ran the board with him for a little bit, but yeah, dude, he's doing great. He's on YouTube, of course. They start at I think it's like 6:30 to 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
But man, it's fun to listen to. And the funny part is I was friends with Patrick. Got friends with him looking for a sign for a company I used to work for, I used to run, and we became friends after that. It wasn't maybe a month or two that I didn't realize he was Angry Patrick. I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know that at all. So I thought that was like, oh, cool. That's even cooler,
Yeah.
But he's helped me through a lot. He's my realtor too. So.
Oh, he's your realtor?
He's my realtor.
I didn't even know he was a realtor.
Oh yeah.
Oh jeez,
man. I think he's a jack of all trades.
Wow. So I went to Arkansas Governor School with Corey's son. And then I'd already been listening to The Edge. It was back in Corey and Jay back in the day.
Okay.
And then after Jay left, and then Patrick was bringing in. He was just like an occasional comedian they would just bring in just for like a funny rant. And then he came over and being co-host, and it's just
that's pretty sweet.
kind of crazy over the decades how it's just been like, and still in contact. And now we're talking to him, and now he's got his own podcast.
I'm hearing him on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, when I first moved here, the job I had, they used to listen to it in the mornings, and I remember hearing him. But I was just like, I didn't know that was him. You know, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that really is awesome. We need him involved with the APC and the stuff that we're doing. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Tommy, I won't keep you. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit here and talk with us about your show. And we'll wish you the best. And then, like I said, if any way that we can support you, just let us know.
Same, man. Thank you for inviting me. This has been great. It's been fun.
Yeah, for sure.